Welcome to Do-It-Yourself Curb Appeal, preparing your home for the market on a budget. I'm Tara Jacoby, and I'm partners with Patty Davis, and we are Down to Earth Realty team at Keller Williams Realty in beautiful Southern Oregon. So today we're talking about curb appeal and why it's so important. Curb appeal, great curb appeal that is, can help you sell your home for top dollar in the shortest amount of time. So let's talk about what curb appeal basics are. The first thing you want to do is make sure that the property is clean, cleared, and pruned back. So you want to make sure that you walk the property from curb to the front door as if you're a buyer. Really analyze what things need to be done to the property. Then you want to go through and start the cleaning process first. Trimming and mowing, sweeping, or pressure washing. And here is a great example of what a good pressure washing can do for you. This looks almost like brand new brick. And after our winters around here in Southern Oregon, we definitely have moss and some nice stuff growing on just about every surface. So giving it a good cleaning is the first way to make your house pop and make it sell for more. You want to make sure that the roof is also moss free, because moss on a roof makes it look very old and looks like somebody might need a new roof, or they might think they need a new roof. So after you have everything cleaned up, you're going to want to go back through and focus on just the main door area or the entry area. If the trimming is looking tired, weathered, if the door looks a little weathered, say like this, you want to make sure you go through and give it a facelift with some paint. On this one, they actually added a little bit of trim to the top of the door and then repainted the entire door, and what a difference that makes. It's looks like a whole different house, whole different entry, much more grand. So now that the basics are done, we're going to talk about adding the wow factor. The biggest thing that you can do to impact your property's appearance is painting. And I'm not just talking about all one color, or even just if it's a fresh coat of paint. I'm talking about contrasting colors, where you have a body paint color, one color, you have a trim, another color, and then your door is a complementary color to that. Now in this instance, they've actually added some shutters to it, which look great, make the front of the property just pop. But you don't have to. You can just do 3 colors if you'd like. Adding the shutters is a whole nother thing we'll talk about later on. So just adding that trim color. Here's a house that was just all one color, and they went ahead then and trimmed it out in a different color. And look at the difference. Look at how much sharper it looks compared to this one. And look at even the front door has been painted a separate color, and it just makes the entire house pop, and all they did was paint. This is one of my favorites. So they took the front of this house, totally painted it a different color, and look what a difference this makes. Just adding that accented trim color, the third color on the door, and that's all they've done here. Just 3 colors, that's it. And what a difference before and after. Now, which house would you rather buy? So this is a house that we assisted with, and we actually had listed earlier this year. And we helped the seller to guide him as to what color he should be painting it. And so it changed entirely the look of the house from this, which was very bland and boring, to this. So moving on from painting, we're going to go to more wow. You want to make sure your mat is always fresh and new looking. And then we're going to talk about adding some things like potted plants, not fake ones, shutters, and additional trim. So let's talk about these things. So potted plants are a great way, very inexpensive way to make the front entry feel warm and inviting, and also give it some character and jazz up the front of the house. So we quite often will use a couple of pots or potted plants from Home Depot, just like this, and put them in front of either an architectural detail somewhere in the house or in front of the door, depending on the size of the entry. I wanted to show you these 2 examples right here and here, because these are 2 examples of ones that have come they're too encroaching on the door itself, and it makes it hard to get 2 people plus a real estate agent through the front without it feeling too small. So I would definitely encourage these guys to have a smaller, just one plant on one side, rather than these two very large plants. Here again, it's the same kind of thing. It just impedes the door and the entryway. These two examples on either side are great. They're appropriately sized and nicely trimmed up, and they don't come into the doorway frame at all. You can get plant boxes, at, you can either make them or you can get them at Home Depot or Lowe's or anything like that. These two we picked up for a client at Lowe's and the Arborvitae, and all of this was under $30. So easy to do and looks great. Next, we're going to talk about shutters. Shutters are another thing that you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and pick up. That's what we did for, again, this client. And we picked up these shutters. They're very inexpensive. But if you don't like doing that, you can have them made if you like a different style. So these are just some different ideas. And then if you go onto Pinterest, which is where all of these pictures are from, except for our ones from our listings, but you can actually get many ideas and how-tos on how to build shutters and how to do just about all of this. Also, all of these ideas that I am talking about on here have come from, I've looked them up and researched them and put them in in its own page on the Down to Earth Curb Appeal on Pinterest. So you can look me up, Tara Jacoby, and then look up, let me see if I can pull up my profile here. So look up Down to Earth Realty Team and you'll see my picture, and then you can look on my boards and you'll see the one that says Down to Earth Curb Appeal. Yeah, right there, Down to Earth Curb Appeal, and that's got all of the ideas and links to how to do things on it. So let's talk about the more things that you can do. So here's some ideas. You can take some accented addressed boards behind your address numbers and just do this, something plain and simple, but because the background is in a different color, it's going to make it pop. I would say consider doing what's called an accent fence. So these fences don't actually go all the way across. This actually stops here and stops here. In fact, you could even just stop it right at this post here and not even go to the walkway, but I see why they did it. But this just gives it the definition. It gives it the idea of a fenced yard and just add some interest. And look at this one. Without this fence here, this home would be fairly uninteresting, but because they've given you that fence for your eye to draw down at, you notice the garden here, and it just makes the entire thing feel more important. So then, talking about things like faux stone siding, you can get this stuff at Lowe's or Home Depot, and what a difference it makes to like a really exposed foundation wall. Just makes it look a little bit more dressy. These houses that have the garages right in the front, and they're so obtrusive and ugly, really. Definitely get these hardware pieces here at Home Depot or Lowe's again, and it just dresses up entirely the front of the garage door. What a look. Looks great. One of my favorite things, pergolas. Let's talk about pergolas. So if you have a garage door, again, that's right up front, and if your house just doesn't have much architectural appeal in places, consider putting in even just one rung of a pergola just to give it an accent, give it focus for the eye. What it does is just give it some jewelry. Again, if you're not handy or don't know someone that is, please ask us for the name of a handyman. They're very inexpensive, can run anywhere from $15 to $20 an hour, and get something like this done for you very, very easily. Another thing you can do if you have a blank wall is some of this chevron lattice, which just looks great and doesn't look like your traditional lattice. And then this gentleman has actually made the pillars in the front of his house have more weight visually and architecturally by adding these framed boxes. So with this one, it totally looks different, and the reason being is because they've actually put the money into just creating this gable or adding this gable onto the house. So that would have been, a good chunk of their money to do that. The other thing they did was a fresh paint job, and again, they gave it 3 colors because the shutters count as the 3rd color, and it just looks really sharp and good. And they added the chair, fresh flowers, window boxes. So they've done a few of the things that we've been talking about today. I always find it fun to look at before and afters and then break down what they've done exactly. This one, they didn't seem to do too much to it. Let's kind of look and see what they did. Okay, I see it now. So what they've done is with this gable, they've actually added wood columns and wood railings rather than the metal ones that were there. And it does give it weight, really. It looks like they've also freshened up the paint job here. But again, here's another example of just adding those chairs. What a difference it makes. And then they put just an edging here right along the walkway. And that's all they did. Very inexpensive facelift on their house. They've added a flag for some color. And that's about it. Look at that. I mean, very simple. Potted plant, another little chair. Might be a little too crowded by the front door, but really looks good. Okay, so again, like I said in the beginning, if you don't have the eye for it or just want it to be done faster, please just give us a call and we'll come out. It's completely free. What we'll do is we'll walk around the property with you and give you recommendations and write down everything that we specific things to your house and to the neighborhood. And these things can dramatically improve the look of your house and the value. So here's two examples of two houses that we had listed where we consulted with the owners on improving their curb appeal. And let me show you a bit of what we did. So this first one right here, it was very plain, very simple house, didn't have much color choices to it. We went through and we added on these shutters and in a different color, and so really it just made them pop completely because the house didn't have trim, so we wanted to add something to just give it some character on the front of the house. So, and then we put in the potted plants, and we did freshen up the door, even though you can't really tell that, and then put in a little metal accent piece just to fill up this blank wall a little bit. Over here, we basically, the first and most important thing the owner did on this house was clean up all of this foliage. The house, you could barely even see where it was, and so it really just cleaned it up entirely. That tree used to be right here. She took out all of the old, overgrown, mature landscaping that was in it because it was just so over the top and impeded on this walkway that came right here. So she cleaned it all up, took it out, put in fresh new flowers, fresh bark mulch, and then again we came through, put the shutters on, and actually we took some plants that are very similar to those ones over there on the front of each corner just to give it some definition. And so it was very simple, very inexpensive, and made a huge difference to the look of the house in both cases. So if you want help doing this type of thing to your house, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Again, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything for us to come out and take a look at your house and tell you some ideas to help your house sell for more. Thanks so much. Take care.